Thank you so much, Enzo Flojo, for joining us here in ABS-CBN Sports. It's UAP Finals once again. I know that you have your keys to winning for both UP and Ateneo, but we'll start first on a general overview. I know you have some thoughts also on whoever will have the advantage to these 2 points. Most likely, they may win the series. What's the first one, Enzo?
Well, the first one, Migs, is going to the free throw line. I mean, that's one very important thing. In the first two meetings between UP and Ateneo this season, season 85, the team that went to the free throw line more times, had more attempts, basically won the game. They did not necessarily shoot a lot better in terms of percentage, but they got to the line much more. In round one, I think UP got to the line 30 times. Bumawi Ateneo around the same number of times, mga 30, 31 times in the second round. Whoever's more aggressive in attacking the basket, fishing for those fouls, and drawing those fouls, I think will have a big edge or advantage for his team, or for that team in the finals.
The next one, besides free throw shooting, is actually a front court game.
Yes, definitely. And it's all about scoring in the paint or around the basket, Migs. I mean, both of these teams have very good players at the front court. Obviously, for Ateneo, you have Ange Kwame, you have Kai Balungay out there. Very recently, Matthew Daves has been stepping up for Ateneo. On the other end, obviously, you have MVP to be Malik Diouf. You have Carl Tamayo, you have Henry Galinato, you have Zave Lucero for UP. So both these teams are pretty stacked in the front court. But it's not just the big men who have to score around the basket. It's all the wingmen and the guards as well. I feel that whoever's able to really make a stamp or make a really big impact in the paint around the basket is going to win this series. That's an indication of who won in round one and round two. The team that scored more in the paint won each of those encounters. And I think the same trend will be observed in the finals we're going to see for season 85. So who scores more inside is going to have a big edge as well.
Okay, let's break it down. For Ateneo, if you're Ateneo, what will be actually also 2 points for your keys to winning the series?
Well, for Ateneo, one thing, if I'm Coach Tad, and I'm sure he's harping on this for his boys. It's turnovers. I mean, throughout the elimination round, Ateneo actually didn't average too many turnovers, only 16 a game. But specifically against UP, they're much more turnover prone than they normally are. In round one, I think they turned the ball over around 19 or 20 times. And in round two, even if they won, they turned it over around the same number of times, around 18 or 19 times as well. So I'm sure Coach Tab is very wary about that, because against a team like UP, if you turn the ball over too many times, you give them too many extra chances to attack you or to get offensive possessions, that's never going to work well for your team. So that's definitely something I'm sure the coaching staff of Ateneo has focused on in preparation for the finals.
And one player should step up, if not the biggest finals series of his career.
Absolutely, Migs. I think he's playing in his last season in the UAAP. Talking about David Ildefonso, this is a guy who really needs to show that he is the star. We know him to be, and he can score a lot of points. He can actually score in crunch time. But what we want to see from him is more efficiency, better shooting percentages, and fewer turnovers as well. I think against UP, Dave has averaged 4 or 5 turnovers per game, specifically against the Fighting Maroons. So that's something that he should check or be conscious of, and I'm sure he is. And of course, his shooting percentages as well. During the elimination round, Migs, Dave Ildefonso, his shooting splits are 31% from the field, 25% from beyond the arc, and only 64% from the line. So those splits, 31, 25, 64, definitely not efficient. So I'm sure Coach Tab, Coach Shandy, the rest of the coaching staff of Ateneo, they're going to be happy for Dave to score, but they want him to do it more efficiently in the finals.
For UP to go back-to-back, it's no easy task because right now, parang na-shift Enzo Parang bago yung underdogs when you talk of Ateneo. Of course, if UP's defending champion, will be no easy task. But for them, it's going to be tougher than we actually say it. But what's the number one point for UP you think they'll go back to back?
Well, for UP, very similarly to Ateneo, and I think it's turnovers. It's weird to talk about UP and turnovers, but they're actually the most turnover-prone team, after the elimination. So they average 19.4 turnovers per game. So that's something that I'm sure Ateneo will try to exploit in the finals. Guys like JD Cagulangan, Terence Fertea, even to a certain extent, maybe James Spencer and Jerry Abadiano, they have to take much better care of the basketball and make sure that they don't give too many chances for the Blue Eagles, because the Ateneo is coming in hot. They're the hottest team in the league right now. I think 6 straight wins, if I'm not mistaken. They're very, very confident because they beat Adamson by 20. They just beat UP in the second round. So Ateneo is the hottest team, most confident team. And if you give them a lot of turnovers, they're going to pound you. So if you're UP, you want to see maybe max 14, 15 turnovers per game. Maximum na yun, Migs. Because if you go over that, that's too many already.
What about containing a Blue Eagle? For
There
you.
you go. A lot of people, when the MVP statistical points calculations came out a few days ago, a lot of people were wondering, about Ange Kwame, the Ateneo big man, and why he will not be MVP and why he will not even be in the mythical 5 of this season. And it's a quirk of the rules and the system, but that's the reality, And I think that's a chip on his shoulder. Ange will play like a man on a mission in the finals, which means for UP, their MVP, Malik Diouf, has to cancel out Ange. Diouf has to play with the chip on his shoulder as well. He has to be able to actually play and produce like a bona fide MVP. That means double numbers. He doesn't have to score 20, but maybe 10, 12 points. Definitely double-digit rebounds, maybe 2 or 3 blocks a game, and try to contain or at the very least cancel out the production of Ange Kwame in the finals. If Diouf can do that and cancel out Ange, that opens so many frontiers for UP. It opens up Carl Tamayo, Zave Lucero, maybe even James Spencer, to really put a lot of hurt on Ateneo in the finals.
You mentioned this earlier. Malik Diouf, 17 and 21 against NU in their Final Four match. You think he can do it again? You think he can also produce MVP-like numbers in the finals?
I definitely think he can. And I think he wants to prove himself because he played well in their Final Four win over NU. But remember, Migs, that Tamayo was injured early in that game, so they had to kind of give Malik Diouf a bit more workload. And I like what Coach Goldwyn did in that game because he actually had Malik Diouf come off the bench and not start in that game. So I think that really played a factor in his production. In the finals, I'm not sure if Coach Gold is willing to roll the dice in the same way, to have Malik Diouf come off the bench. I think that's going to be too big of a risk. And Diouf, in his last game against Ateneo, only 7 points and only 7 rebounds, in that loss to Ateneo in the second round. So I'm sure he wants to prove himself. He was outplayed by Ange Kwame in that second round. Ange had, I think, 15 points, 14 points, and around 17 rebounds. So it was a lopsided matchup between those two. So if Diouf can counter Ange and cancel him out, that's going to be a huge lift for the defending champions.
Your prediction. Finals prediction.
All right. Now, you know me, Migs, I'm an alumnus of one of these schools. And
but you have an objective basketball mind.
Yes. Which is what I'm afraid of, because I think some of my, my schoolmates and friends might not like me very much for the next week or so. But if I'm being completely objective, the deeper team, the more consistent team, is a team that I think will win this championship. Last year, they were the underdogs. Now they have the championship experience. Their mission is to defend that championship for the first time, I'm not sure, maybe in the history of UP. So I think the Fighting Maroons are going to win this. They're on the verge of history for themselves to win back-to-back, which I think, again, they've never done. Surely in the Final Four era, they've never been able to do that. So that's something they want to do. To prove that last year was not a fluke and that they are indeed a program that maybe be considered a dynasty already. So it's going to be a fun, exciting, tightly contested 3-game series. We're going to go 3 games, Migs. But I think UP is going to win it in the end.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Enzo Flojo.